Welcome to the call, everybody. And if you've been given a personal invitation to be a part of this call, someone has honestly paid you a massive compliment. It means they care enough about you to say, put on the brakes on what you're doing and let's get you healthy. And then we can reach out to some of your friends, buddies, or whoever and help them get healthy as well. And so this is the Doctor's Clinic call, which where the world is your waiting room. And we have Dr. Kurt Fisnick as our resident doctor for all of us that are putting together our distribution systems in Sizzle. And the topic today is going to be kind of fun, and we'll be bouncing back and forth with ideas and concepts, but it's about how can you, not having a doctor's title necessarily, talk to someone about these products. And, we'll share with you what's going on. Dr. Kurt, welcome to the call. And do we have a fun topic or what?
I think this is a really good topic. When I asked you this morning at 8 o'clock what we're going to talk about, and you said that this was the topic, I thought, man, I didn't even have to do any research today.
Well, it's because it's what we do. It's one of those things, what we do. And I think what we want to start with on the call is going through just a tad bit of an outline. But, Doc, let's get into, some of the things that people, as you start your conversations, some of the things that is really frowned upon are government's not crazy if we mention certain things, and then let's do a little teaching on how to properly, what terminology, what language that we can use, because everybody loves the Sizzle products. Are you kidding me? But you want to approach someone and you can't make promises and guarantees, but I'll let you start and then I'll add on to what you're saying. But what are some of the things that we want to make sure we're not saying, and maybe that we should not do? And I don't like to always go to the negative. We live in a world where everyone is so happy, and and our honestly our situation out there is where people, big pharma and all that, they care more about making money than your actual health, as it appears. I probably shouldn't even said that like that, but. So, Doc, help us clean up our language and give us a little bit of some don'ts, and then we'll get into how you can say things.
You bet. Well, DW, the first thing I'll say is, because I am a doctor, I can make a diagnosis. I can talk to people about, hey, what's going on here, what's going on here. And so many times I see on Facebook that, people say, oh, I got this, what product should I take? And all of a sudden you'll see 95, comments on the post. People say, oh, take this product, take that product, do this, do that. And I just kind of cringe at it because it's like, oh, man, you don't have the full story. One time, and I'll just use this as an example, there was a post on Facebook. Somebody was saying, well, I have these headaches. What products would you recommend? And like I said, there was like 36 or 40 different, recommendations on what products to take and things like that. And I thought, well, how can you make a recommendation, without having the full story? So I asked the lady who made the original post, when did your headache start? And she came back to me and she said, well, after my car accident, I had my neck fused together. And that's a really important question, and it's a really important answer because, really when you take a look at what products to use, then it changes the entire picture. It changes everything. And so, sometimes you have to let the doctors be the doctors. But anyhow, when we're talking about products, that's where we have to be careful. We don't want to step on the toes of the doctors. Even if the doctor has made the wrong recommendation, you got to be careful because they are protected by by the laws. They are protected. And me as a chiropractor, I even when my mom got diagnosed with cancer 10 years ago, I told her, I said, Mom, I said, I'm a doctor. I'm not your doctor for this particular problem. And I said, so I can't tell you what to do, but here's what I would do if it was me, right? And you can say things like that, or if it was my son, here's what I would recommend. But the easiest way to talk about products is that you have to remember our products don't necessarily have research on them. When we take a look at the 4 Restore, it's got some awesome ingredients. The awesome ingredients do this based on, on the research. But the product itself doesn't have any research. We've got a proprietary formula that was put together using these great products. And so now what you can do, what I recommend people do, is always have that research. And so when I'm talking to somebody, say I'm talking to DW, I might say, hey, Daniel, I heard you mentioning that you have some high blood pressure. Have you ever looked into natural ingredients maybe to help lower that blood pressure? And whatever his answer is, it's going to be his answer. And then I'm going to say, well, I've got some compelling research on some natural ingredients I'd really like you to take a look at. And if it interests you, a company that I work with makes probably the most potent product in that category. So DW, you see how I said that? So that I'm handing you the research. I'm not handing you the product. I'm pointing at the research. I'm not pointing at the product.
And that's brilliant. I mean, there's so much wisdom, and you want to be aware of what you're doing. And you want to be aware of gathering the right information so you can help someone do their own research. And so, but let's go back. So we don't want to diagnose, okay? You don't want to talk about making guarantees or promise. This can cure. This will absolutely take, that kind of thing. However, when you look at, like Doc is saying, if you look at the ingredients that's in a lot of our products, there's been independent research, like on resveratrol. It's absolutely crazy, and there's more stuff coming out, and doctors are actually in some of their studies. And Doc, tell me if we can say it like this, so this is kind of a test. Doctors are saying in their studies that this would be something they would encourage someone to take. And I didn't use even the word recommend there, but they would encourage someone to take a look at the resveratrol research and then get their hands on some of that. Is that, so we'll kind of break this down. Is that some wisdom there in how I said it?
You bet. Yeah, saying exactly like that. I might add something like, like in a product like resveratrol, Nobel Prize winning research.
Absolutely. Very well said. Even TSX.
That's a great adjective because people know about the Nobel Prize, although I know we've given Nobel Prizes to people that didn't deserve it, but that's another story. But in the case of resveratrol, it deserved it because of the research on it.
Well, and the Nobel Prize has lost a little credibility because of some of those things. However, a lot of people, Tom's using Nobel Prize technology and ingredients and that have gotten Nobel Prize, like the TSX, like the resveratrol. Tom's not received a Nobel Prize, but he has received the Genius Award. So that is, Doc, do you know much about the Genius Award or anything we can say along those lines?
Yeah, he's actually gotten a Genius Award twice, and so what I try and tell people is when I say that, I say, you take a look at the brilliance of this man, of Tom Maurer, and the products that he's put together. He's gotten the Genius Award not just once but twice, and because he knows how to formulate, and he knows how to take the research that's out there and actually make something that's beneficial to mankind, to humankind.
Well, and you'll run into this. It didn't happen too long ago. Someone called me up, and there was a company that you would come to their meetings, and they would do this real quick little blood test to see if your blood was flowing sluggishly or if it was flowing freely. And these tests started out of Michigan like 25 years ago, and they've been debunked in the sense of the people that were doing them had pure intentions. But when I mean debunked, like it's not an accurate reading of what's going on in the blood. And so they were telling me, well, this shows the blood, and what they would do. You could take the resveratrol, you could take the Spectramax, and or even the Ficoidin, and you will see a massive difference in your blood. But you could also have 3 glasses of whiskey, and you'll see a massive difference in your blood as well, and you'll get arrested for it. So, and they were going, yeah, but this doc talked on this one doctor show, so he has all this credibility. And I'm going, he's not been knighted. He hasn't got the Genius Award. I know the ingredients that were in the product that they were going over how phenomenal they were actually 30-year-old science and research ingredients. And we have so moved beyond what they were talking about there, and you're going to run up against that because people start making claims. And, of course, now this company's in trouble because, the FTC is going to come down on them simply because they're basically having non-medical people practice medicine. And, and so we've seen this happen more than once to people to where they, doc can practice medicine. He can do some of that stuff. I can't. So to go in there and go, wow, look at this, and have some nurse come in and take your blood and run it on a slide and show you right there and say, whoa. Now, there's the proper way to do things, Doc. We're talking about really getting down to it, is get an entire, and I don't know what the terminology is, but where you get all your blood work done, get it done, and then stay on the products for 6 months consistently, get it done again, and you will see, you're liable to see, and I didn't say you will, I started to say that, but you're liable to see some improvements. And, but a little slide test real quick like that, I mean, we used to hand out a video on a product called, and I'll just say what it is, OPC3, which is in our Spectrum Max. Matter of fact, there's 3 different kinds of OPC3. And the product that I was involved with back in the day when it was kind of pretty cool when it first came out, Doc, was OPC3. But it was only one kind. Tom puts all 3 OPC3s into pycnogenals, into our Spectrum Max, and calls it one antioxidant. And they were just doing one OPC3, and they called it a major antioxidant. I mean, so... and I'm just going, one thing we can say about our products is how they're built. They are built with potency and power, and it doesn't take much research to find out how they're built. And so, Doc, does that help a little bit there? Or did I go down a rabbit hole that we just need to get out of pretty quick?
No, I really agree with you. I mean, that's exactly how you say it. And the other thing is that, like when I'm talking about the company, when I'm talking about Sizzle to people, I'll say to people, I say, I'm working with one of the most brilliant biochemists that I've ever met, right? I'm working with Tom Maurer, one of the most brilliant biochemists that I've ever met. I mean, here's a master formulator that knows how to put ingredients together because, I mean, like you look at some ingredients, they just don't mix. They don't work good together. You wouldn't want to put fire and matches fire and gasoline together. They great both separately. They're great, but you put them together and they're disastrous. But I mean, Tom knows how to mix the right things together so you get the great results. The other thing that I say to people is that when you're going out there, if you want to add some credibility to what you're doing, you can say I'm working with this doctor. And all of you, if you're on this call, if you're sending this recording out to people, you're working with me, right? Because you're listening to the call, you're sending the call out. So it adds that much credibility to you. You can say, I'm working with a doctor. There's a doctor that understands the science behind this, and he's my business partner. And even though we're not on the same team directly, we're all business partners in this together, and we can really build ginormous teams by using that. And then all of a sudden now you're not making any kind of medical claims. You can say, I'm working with a doctor who practices age reversal medicine. I try to attend all of the latest seminars and understand all of the latest information. And that's information that you can use. If you get on my Facebook page, you'll my Doc Biz page, you'll see that I share that information. I'm going to a big seminar here at the end of April, and you can bet your bottom dollar that in the 3 days that I'm there, I mean, I'm going to learn some intense information. It starts at 9 o'clock in the morning, goes till 7 o'clock every night for 3 days. I mean, you can bet I'm going to learn some stuff, and I'm going to pass that information on my Facebook page and on my emails, and we're going to pass it on this call, and then you can use that information to build your business, and people, all of a sudden now it's not Bob or Sue or anybody else making any claims, and you can tell people and say, look, I'm not a doctor, but I do work with one.
Well, there's some wisdom there because that's awesome. And I love it. And we're working with Tom, working with Doc Fizz, and so it's a game changer for us. Now let's pop into some things that you can say, and that was one of them. He said right there. So he started that already, but let's get into some of the products. And so I'm going to throw some things out there and just be vulnerable and then let Doc either add to, take away, or give me a high five or kick me to the curb. All right, doesn't matter. But you want to take the products, and the foundation of Sizzle is built around Triangle of Life. We love the Forward Restore. We love the Brain Vitality Game Changer. The Sizzling is phenomenal technology in how Tom extracts out the only the good that's in the whey protein, the milk protein. He just only the good, period, boom. And he does that with all fruits and vegetables. He pulls out what is needed and puts it into a form to where it could be absorbed rapidly. Now, with that said, you want to take the products that you're kind of excited about and learn to say 3 simple. And everybody, you want to keep things simple. They don't need to be simpler, but you want to keep things simple. Einstein said that. Keep it simple, but not simpler. You don't want to dummy it down because it has brilliance behind it, but you want to be simple in your explanation of the brilliance behind the product. And what I just said there was extremely well said because I live that philosophy on what I just spoke to you. Now, take the Triangle of Life. You want to take each bottle, and of course I will tell you this, the huge catalog we have, the big one, those pictures, Doc, in that catalog that show what's in the Triangle of Life, and especially the SpectraMax, that is so visually vivid, and it is phenomenal. You talk about keeping it simple. I can take that picture of the SpectraMax and show it to someone and say, are you getting all this every day? And the answer is going to be no. And if you are getting all that every day, if they do say yes, but are you getting it at its maximum nutritional level? Why? And if they say yes, I know that's not true because I know what topsoil is in America. I know what's going on in the farming industry very well, what's happening there. So one thing I would say about Ficoidin is this. This thing is it's an immune balancer. I talked to Tom about this, and it's kind of cool. If your immune system is blown out of whack and it's running rampant, it balances it down. If it's really low and needs to be built up, it builds it up. It puts it in that balance zone. And so I'll just let people know it's an immune blaster that balances your immune system. It's antibacterial, antifungal. And the third thing I pop into, and you can say a couple different things, is studies are showing that you're going to see. Yeah, I mean, Doc will slap me down for that, so I'll slap myself first. Go whack, there you go, you heard it. And but I've heard Aaron Rand say that it'll blast your immune system after 7 days for about 400%. Another thing that's kind of interesting, it has the same properties as colostrum milk or as mother's milk in the first 2 or 3 days, even up to 6 weeks. Some moms will blast that immune system into their babies that are being nursed and breastfed. So I would say those 3 things about that product, just a couple 2 or 3 things. So, Doc, let's just take Ficoidin and just kind of give me an A, B, C, or D. How did I do on just giving some simple things there, or was it not as simple as it could even be?
Yeah, I think that when you're talking about Ficoidin, some of the most important things that I try and say with it is that it does boost the immune system. If you give kind of a range, you can say depending on what study you're looking at. It's going to boost the immune system 300 to 3,000%, right? And that way nobody's going to come back and they're not going to say, well, DW said it was 400%, right?
See, and guys, just by talking this through, with a partner I build with in Sizzle, we're not in the same, we're on the same team, we're on Tom's team, but my respect, appreciation, love, and concern for Doc is off the charts crazy good. And we're buddies, but we're close enough friends to where we can go, that's not quite how I'd say it. Now, he was very gracious there. But so now we put it into a range instead of a specific. So what he's saying is if I say a specific number, then I'm held accountable for that number. And I wanted to say that specific number because I've said that before and have always kind of questioned it a little bit because I'm like, how can you prove it? Well, studies show 300 to 3,000%. And so there you go. They're going to be in that range. And so, Doc, that was wise. Thank you for that.
You bet. Yeah, it's if you really do the look, there's over 1,000 studies on Ficoidin, and so depending on who's doing the research, they're gonna say one thing or another, and this way you're covering it all, and people aren't going to question you on it. And you can go out there and you can show them one study that shows 300, and you can show another study that says 1,000, and whatever, right? and like DW talked about, he said that in some cases, if you've got, say, an autoimmune disorder, you don't want your immune system to be boosted. and in today's world, I mean, I could dare say that 100% of us have autoimmune disorders. We all have an autoimmune disorder, and I could back that up. I mean, I could show you study after study after study. So I'm not giving you a range on that, but you could say most people have some kind of an autoimmune disorder: rheumatoid arthritis, asthma, allergies. Those are all autoimmune disorders. Digestive system problems. Those are autoimmune disorders. And so you don't want to boost your immune system because your immune system is already going crazy, wacky, too much. And so you want to actually modulate your immune system. You want to bring it down a little bit so that it's actually going to work with that. And so the word for that is adaptogenic. And so that's the word you want to use, if you can remember that. And then in the case of somebody who's got a weak immune system, they get sick all the time, they seem to catch everything that's going on. The nice thing about it, because the fucoidan is adaptogenic, in those cases it's going to boost the immunity up. And I'm not going to get into the whole science behind the Th1, Th2 immunity and how it works on kind of a teeter-totter system, but the fucoidan is going to work in both cases. And that's the easiest way to remember it. It works in both cases, and if you do remember the word adaptogenic, that's the word for it.
And I love it, love it, love it, love it. So getting a text message, OPC, if someone want to know what it stands for, that's oligomeric proanthocyanidins. And so it's another one of the things that helps with if you have
it
just
doesn't mean other people's chewing gum?
Yeah, other people's chewing gum. I love it. So now let's go into, Doc, critique me on this one. You didn't give me an ABC on the other one, so I just threw myself at a C. But let's critique this a little bit. The industry's changed. When Tom started out getting individuals to understand there's toxins and then there's ways to get rid of some free radical damage and help your cells again and help with the toxicity that's in the body. That was back in the day to where a lot of your traditional doctors was throwing tomatoes at a guy like that on stage. But things have have increased to the point to where a lot of my doctor buddies that I talk to personally, they feel kind of invaded by big pharma to push the next great drug, and they're really frustrated with that because these drugs have so many side effects. But people ask me, they're on medications or doing stuff, what I do, and I said, I tell you what, you take these products in your research to your doctor and ask him this question and ask it exactly word for word like this: is there anything in these products that would hurt or harm me? If you ask the doctor, can I take these products, he's gonna say no, because and then he's liable. But if you ask him if there's anything in here, and let's use Spectromax for an example, if a doctor told me personally, yeah, that'll hurt you, I'm getting on my fast pair of tennis shoes and I'm never talking to that doctor again, because that's like saying, can a handful of fruits and vegetables hurt me? And now, it might be a situation to where if someone's going through chemo, they need to back off some stuff during that and then pick back up on it afterwards. And so there could be a timing of when you take certain things. So Doc, critique me on that. That's the instructions I've given for, since basically 1998, so I don't know how many years that is. A lot of years. Am I too harsh there? Or is there some wisdom in what I'm saying?
Yeah. You know what? And I think that, based on what you're saying, you bet. I mean, that's a great way to say it. Is there anything in there that would be harmful for me? And I mean, in all reality, most doctors, they're not going to know how to answer that, because they're going to look at the ingredients. I mean, they're going to whip that bottle over and they're going to look at the backside, and they don't even know what they're looking at. I mean, they see vitamin A, vitamin B, they see some iron, they see this, they see that. but they don't know what it means. I mean, honestly, they don't know what it means. Most chiropractors don't know what that means. It's funny. They try and pretend like they do. So that's why, like DW said, if you say, hey, can I take that? They're going to say no, right? And not necessarily because they even think it's going to hurt you, because they don't know if it will or not. But the reason they're saying it is because they want to be the authority. They want to be the guy that knows more than you. And so I think that's why they do it that way. And then like DW said, they don't have to accept any responsibility and liability if something goes wrong. They just say no, because if it was a drug, they're protected. The drug companies protect the doctors with their pharmaceuticals.
So that helps quite a bit. I hope this call's helping everyone, just kind of coming up with the right language. Language is one of the most powerful things that you have access to, because you all have language. And you want to take your language and become skillful with it, not for the purpose of manipulation, but for the purpose of exposing the truth and putting people in a position where they can make a wise decision, and a calculated decision, an educated decision. So I allow people to do some research. We got some great independent research on our entire water treatment system. I will send that to someone and say, man, plow through this. It is just incredible information. We got some great research that I send out all the time on our Ficoidin. That's independent stuff. And then one of them is just, 90 reasons Ficoidin could be of some help to you. And it's just amazing talking about having a salad from the sea, and how to use that. There's great research, and I don't have anything, Doc, put together to send out someone on the resveratrol yet. The Spectromax.
I'm going to step in here. I'm going to say this, that, I used to send out a lot of research on products to people. I mean, because I love research. I mean, if you saw my computer, the memory of my computer, my hard drive is so full of research and that. And I used to send that information out to people. But the thing about it is you have to remember that most people, when it comes right down to it, when you're talking health, when you're talking, the health care, most people have an understanding of about an eighth grader. And so sending research out to people, it's kind of like blah, 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 yeah, okay, whatever, yeah, another great product, another science article that I'm not going to read, right? And so try and come up with with something simple, like, okay, let's talk Fucoidin. I'll say to people, Fucoidin, I mean, here's an awesome product. You need to take a look at this. It's going to boost your immune system. It's going to, make your immune system so it works 300 to 3,000% better, right? I've got their attention on that. They're going to look at that, and I'm going to say to somebody, do you know anybody that might be having an immune system challenge? Maybe they've got asthma. Maybe they've got arthritis. Maybe they've got, Alzheimer's. Maybe they've got type 1 diabetes, right? You give a couple examples, and now you got their mind off of the research. They're not thinking about, oh, God, Kurt's going to throw some science at me, right, to try and convince me to buy this product, right? So now what I'm doing is I'm going to take their mind off of it. So I'm going to say, do you know anybody that has asthma? Well, what's DW saying? What's going through DW's mind when I say, do you know anybody that has asthma, arthritis, diabetes, type 1 diabetes, Alzheimer's? I mean, right away he's thinking Uncle Bob, he's thinking George, he's thinking Harry. He's starting to come up with names. So I took his mind off the fact that, that he's thinking that I'm going to try and sell him something. You got to get their mind off of that, because that resistance factor is there. People want to put up a wall because they think you're going to try and sell them something, and the easiest way is to just put up the wall and say, I'm not going to buy. Well, now all of a sudden you got them thinking, yeah, Harry has that. Harry has asthma. And you can say, I heard about this guy the other day, and now all of a sudden you tell a story. And I always tell people this, that stories sell, facts tell. And so, so have something really quick like that, like Spectromax. I'll tell people, here's really my story on Spectromax, right? And DW, you're going to like this one. Because when I got started with Sizzle, I looked at it and I went, wow, Fucoidin is the most awesome product I ever really saw. And I used to tell all my new prospects, I'd say, you just need to look at this one product. We've got 200 different products, but look at this one. And I'd tell them a story or two about what the Fucoidan did, and I'd say, get on this one product. It's around $50, give or take. It's around $50, and so for less than $2 a day, you're going to have some changes in your health. And I'll guarantee that at the end of 30 days, DW, if you drink this bottle exactly how I said, you drink a 3/4 ounce shot glass every day, at the end of the month, if you don't like the results you got, give me back the empty bottle. And I've been doing that for 4 years now, and I've never had anybody hand me the empty bottle back. Not a single soul has ever handed me the empty bottle back. So that's what I was doing in the beginning. And then one time Tom and I were sitting out on some lawn chairs. We were talking, and I said, Tom, I said, if you had $50 and that was all you had to your name, and you were going to buy one product from Sizzle, I said, what product would it be? And I was expecting him to say Fucoidan, and he said Spectramax. And I kind of looked a little shocked, and I'm like, why? And he said, Kurt, he said, when you take a look at the ingredients in Spectramax, you're getting more than your money's worth with that product. More than any other product we have, you're getting your money's worth. He said that product right there is jam-packed full of nutrients, and our body needs those every single day, every single second. Right now, while you're sitting here talking to me, thousands of different biological processes are taking place, and if you don't have those minerals that are in there, that biological process doesn't get to the step where it needs, say, molybdenum. It's going to get to that step and say, oh, we don't have any, and it's going to stop. And it's not going to look for a substitute. It's not going to search. No, it's going to stop. And what if that biological process is fixing an eyeball problem? Well, all of a sudden now you're going to have an eyeball problem that just stopped right in the middle of that biological process, right? And so now I took a product that's really, really, really jam-packed full of science, and I made it easy to explain. What if that's all you told a person about Spectramax? I mean, they've got a visual picture in their head of what that product does, and now you not only have you said we've got one great product called Fucoidan. My doctor friend used to recommend it to all of his everybody that he knew, and he made a money-back guarantee on it. Never had the product returned, but the scientists from the company recommended a totally different product. Well, then I go on one step further, and I say, and that's what I used to think, but then I got asked to do this call, this Sizzle Doctors Clinic call with DW, and we've been doing it every week for a year and a half now. Hard to believe it's been a year and a half, and I started getting these testimonials. I said, hey, let's do a testimonial call next Tuesday. Instead of doing kind of a fax tell call, let's do a story sell call. And so I invited some of the people that I knew, and all of a sudden I started hearing great stories about eternity, about resveratrol. My friend Rachel, I don't know if you remember the call, but Rachel got on, and she said she had early stages of breast cancer, and she couldn't afford any other product. So what product did she start taking? Well, she took Eternity. Guess what? In less than 45 days, the doctors told her her breast cancer had gone into remission. We can't say gone, but gone into remission. Her doctors said that, not me, not Rachel, not you. Her doctors said that. It went into remission. Then we had Sarah Cully on, and Sarah Cully gets on, and she said, yeah, she started taking Eternity, and all of a sudden, her triple-negative breast cancer seemed to come under control, and her doctors were totally amazed too. Again, now I'm saying her doctors, right? And it's her story, so you can't say it cures anything. She can, because she can say, in my opinion, but you can't. And then Mike Collier out of Watertown, South Dakota, he gets on and he says his mom had rheumatoid arthritis. She's in her 70s or maybe even 80s, and she started taking Eternity, and that was the only product she took, and her rheumatoid arthritis improved, right? And I thought, holy cow! So here I am, a doctor, and I'm recommending Fucoidan, and I'm thinking that's the product, that's the go-to product that we have with Sizzle. And then Tom tells me, oh no, it's Spectramax. But then I do the testimonials, and now I find out that Eternity is the product. I'm going, what the heck? now what product do I recommend? So now when people talk to me, I say, look, you know, if you have $50, you better figure out how to get 150 because you need to be on all three, because I can't tell you which product you need to be on because all three of them are going to do this. And I tell them that story, and I let them decide which product do they want to be on. And you notice how I didn't have to get into any science on that, but I can guarantee you that you know, probably 75% of people, if I say that, they're going to buy at least one of the three. Wouldn't you, DW?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just when a person understands what they have their hands on. But so what Doc's talking about is just learning how to talk about products. And we're run out of time here for the call. However, maybe we can finish up with going through the triangle and a few key products that we have on some things that we say to people that puts them in a position to where they can make an intelligent decision and give the products a go. And so that's, and Doc, same thing. I've told people, this doesn't work for you, let me know. You can get your, you know, I'll personally give them their money back. And so that's what I do to people I personally sponsor and personally work with. That's not for everyone out there. I just do it in that you don't have to do your business that way. And you just don't get returns. You don't get problems. I mean, these products work, and they, you know, and they're just a difference maker. So, Doc, we're out of time. Anything you want to close with? That's it for the doctor's call this morning. Dr. Kurt Fizz, anything else?
Well, DW, the half hour goes so fast. You know, let's continue, and maybe a couple weeks now we'll just go on a rampage on each product, and you can just, you know, maybe throw one at me, and you can say, hey, what about Inner Chi? Boom, and I'll kind of give you my one or two liner on each product on what I say, and then people that are listening all can go out and use that or maybe modify it. But DW had brought up something earlier with blood tests. And, you know, even in my clinic, I didn't order a lot of blood tests, and I'll tell you why. By the time it shows up on traditional blood testing, the damage is done. If it's showing up on a blood test, you can go to the bank and you can understand there's something majorly wrong, and it's damaged your body. It's damaged your organ. If it shows up, it's bad. Even if they say it's borderline, it's bad. It's damaged an organ, and so you know, we're seeing this happen in that we're starting to move into more of a functional medicine. We're starting to go into more of a functional type of approach on how do we make sure that the body's working 100% functionally so that we don't have the problems, so they don't show up as an abnormal blood test. So I'll get into that a little bit as we go through these calls too, so that you know some of the warning signs that you can look for before it shows up on a blood test.
Well, there's nothing better than, you know, doing preventive or preventing things, you know, to where we're ahead of the ball game. So you can look at your ancestry and kind of see where there's some weaknesses, and some of those things can be passed down, and put yourself in a position to get ahead of the curve. And so, and my dad's done that. He's done that with, you know, with the Encompass 360, the Eternity, and Brain Vitality, which are three phenomenal products along with Omega Plus to give your brain really good brain health. And so we'll jump into some. Doc, you're absolutely amazing. Love the conversation today. We want to give people, you know, an opportunity to put themselves in a position to come from a position of strength, not weakness, a position of wisdom, not worry, and that's where we're headed. So that's it for the Doctor's Clinic call today, and thank you so much for being part of it. We'll see you same time, same place next week. Doc.
Bye-bye.